What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Submission Fishing Podcast. Give it a few minutes. Wait for some people to start rolling in here. What's going on, guys? Instagram. What's up, man? Just about to hop on the YouTube, do the live show, get the podcast going. If you guys want to join us, let's head on over. Down in SD. Oos, what's going on, man? Leonard, what's up, man? Remember, 25 months. You're the man, Leonard. That would be the longest man. Last man standing. RB Surf Fishing, long time no see. Yeah, what's going on, dude? Doing the live show on YouTube. I know I used to do it at like 7 o'clock back in the day, but I had to push it forward. But you know how it goes. We're still here trying to get it done. Bum Fishing. What's going on, dude? Driftwood Fishing, 760. Oos. What's going on, man? Hope everything's good out there. Yeah, we got a decent show for you guys today. We'll get the official start going here in a few minutes. We'll talk about, skunking, what it means, what happens, happens to everybody. But we got a kind of an interesting story about me going out. Me and Kevin went out last week, and it's pretty interesting. So I'll tell you guys about that, give you my thoughts on it. We got a couple news stories, all that stuff as usual. So it should be good. Of course, if you guys got any questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat as well, and we'll answer those up for you. Dave Rage, what's going on, man? Oos, you been fishing or what? Had any good show or any good outings? I think I saw some of your pics. I think you had a pretty successful trip out there. Bum fishing. That doesn't happen to me. Skunking. I believe you. Chilean tournament is ranking 83.25 on the leaderboard for the Blue Collar Classic. Oh, Chilean. This is Chilean, like Chilean sea bass. That's pretty good. 83.25. Was that for 5 spotties? Pretty big bag. That's good, man. Glad you guys got some signups. Oh, Super Skip? Yeah, man. He's been killing it. Seems like every week he's out there posting stuff up. That's pretty awesome. Stephen Gage, what's going on, man? Oos, glad you could join us. Over 28 kayakers. That's pretty good. Do you guys only have the kayak division? Or is it just like everybody? Like short pounders, boat guys? But yeah, man, you can't. 28 people is really good. Can't argue with that. Some quality numbers. What's going on, guys? On Instagram. About to get the show started over here on YouTube, so if you guys want to join us, come see what's up. Dave Rage hit the Coronados last weekend. It was pretty good. Seems slow for tuna, unless you're on a 1.5 or longer. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Based on what I've seen, it's like you're exactly right. I was just looking at the fish counts this morning, and it was the same thing. There was like some overnight boats, stuff like that, and they had pretty low tuna numbers. But the yellowtail looks like they're still popping off though, which is pretty cool. We were talking about that last week. How yellowtail looks like seems like some of the best yellowtail fishing it's been in years, which is pretty awesome, man. It's cool that there's like a cycle, There's always something good. It was like a couple years ago. Remember the Dorado were like running, there was like hundreds of thousands of them going up almost to like north of Orange County. In the last couple of years it was bluefin, and now it seems like it's the yellowtail. It's like just kind of rotates. That's awesome, man. That's super cool. Lindholm, Luke, what's going on, man? Just getting the show going over here on the YouTube action. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. How do you say that? Med Radio? Need Radio? N6 Ed Radio? Yeah, man, the jig is TV Metal Art made that. He does a lot of metal work. He does a lot of like fish in general. He does the belts for Spotty Bowl, does a bunch of trophies and stuff like that. I know he does glass work. Sometimes he pops in the chat here, but yeah, check him out. I think it's TB Metal Art, or I think it's just TB Art, Todd Burton Art. Now you can find him on Instagram. But yeah, he does a lot of work, but a lot of like fishing based art and stuff too. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can pretty much make whatever you want. It's pretty awesome. Get live going. Love your lures. Thanks, man. Guy Fisher says your lures are the best. Man, that's good. As long as you guys are getting bit, dude, that's all that matters, right? It sounds like you are. That's awesome. Thanks for the love, guys. Appreciate you. All right, let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm gonna write down the time. See, I edit it when I do the podcast. When I put it on Spotify, like I have to go back and cut this part out, and I always forget what time it is. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Submission Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Muto. Glad you could join us back here for another Thursday. And we got the usual fishing stories, your questions, all that good stuff. We got a couple things to talk about. And the main topic today is just going to be about, skunking. Is it necessary? Why does it happen? And we bring it on ourselves. Is it avoidable? Just kind of all those things, kind of where it came from. And yeah, we got a little interesting anecdote about that. And just thought it'd be an interesting topic to go over. See, it's Romeo. What's behind you? It's the giant TB Metal Art jig. We were just talking about that in the chat before the show got started. Check him out. Todd Burton Art. You can find him on Instagram. He makes a bunch of fish art, stuff like that. He makes the belts for Spotty Bowl. But it's good stuff. Lalo Fish Oos, welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. Andre, what's going on, man? Welcome. David Goodsey Oos. No fishy hour today. It's all you. Yeah, fishy hours what? Are they still doing Mondays? Mondays, Wednesdays? Man, I haven't tuned in for a while. But yeah, it's a great show. I'm gonna check them out again. Fishwork Fishy said, I want to try to get a belt made by the end of the tourney. Yeah, I'm sure you can get it done. He's the man. All right, let's see here. We got a couple, I think maybe just one news story. I don't know if you guys saw this one out of, this was La Jolla. I just thought it was pretty interesting. There was apparently a rare, they call it a doomsday fish. And this was caught out in La Jolla. Basically was what's it called, an oarfish. Kayakers in the cool ocean waters of Southern California came across a rare sight over the weekend. According to San Diego news station, large silver oarfish was spotted off La Jolla shores, south of Torrey Pine on Saturday. The long fish, 12 feet. 12 foot long fish is no joke. I don't know if you've ever seen that thing, but they're really kind of long, slender. It already died by the time it was spotted by the group, and it was pulled ashore for further examination. As luck would have it, it was no ordinary collection of kayakers. The group, which included snorkelers and scientists from the nearby Scripps Institution, calling the fish mysterious species. A spokesman for Scripps told KUSI that the surprising find would become part of the marine life collection for the Institute. It took a couple people to drag it in, but yeah, kind of crazy. The oarfish, they usually live, it says right here, 3,000 feet down. They normally patrol the ink black depths more than 3,000 feet down, and they rarely come up to the surface because of their deep water tendencies. The oarfish is one of the ocean's lesser studied beasts, though accounts of the oarfish sightings do date back as far as the 1700s. Full-size oarfish can reach up to 30 feet in length, making them even more surprising sight when they're seen on the surface. And this is the part with the doomsday fish. Oarfish have also had something to do with negative reputation globally as harbingers of bad fortune and natural disasters. They're sometimes even called doomsday fish. And National Geographic says historically has been known in Japanese culture as a messenger from the sea god's palace. So, yeah, man. Doomsday fish washing up in La Jolla. Seems like everything comes up there. Remember a couple of years ago, they were getting those old ass like angler fish were popping in, and then they had, what was it like that? I think rare shark. I don't know. It was like a couple of years ago, but they got hit by just this chain of weird fish. And it always seems to be right in that area too. There's something special about that La Jolla Cove where everything kind of washes out. But, I mean, that's nuts. Hopefully it's not anything bad. Maybe they're dooming the future MPAs in Point Loma. That's crazy. Let's see here. Yeah, I've never seen anything. That seems like I don't ever find anything cool like that. Or fish. I'll get a sea lions out there. The trash. See what else we got in the news here. Oh yeah, obviously, guys, we got the Submission at Sea coming up. If you guys want to check that out, we're going to go fishing a 2-day trip, October 23rd to the 25th on the Voyager. Should be a good time. So if you guys want to fish with us, we're going to do. We just got the hats made, so we've got custom Submission at Sea hats. They're only going to be made for the trip. They're pretty sick. We just got the designs made. We got them sent in, so those are going to be printed out. Custom patch hats. We're going to have giveaways, like we got reel from baits. We got rods, all kinds of stuff to give away in a raffle. And of course, we've got you get the submission kind of care package goodie bag. I mean, it's going to be like over $100 worth of stuff, jigs, hats, all that stuff. We're getting other sponsors and everything too. So it should be a good trip. It's 2 days of fishing. We're going to go way out there. The last effort, kind of at the end of fall. So it should be good. We're going to do, we'll see what happens. The goal was for tuna, but I mean, if the yellowtail bite's still biting, that might be what happens. So probably either bluefin, yellowtail, and then look for some big rockfish. Meal and everything's included. So yeah, check it out. You go to submissionfishing.com, look up Submission at Sea. You can get your tickets, buy them right there. When you get your tickets, you buy your bunk. So we still got spots available. So check it out. If you guys want to fish with us, also, one of the underrated things I want to talk about is, I'll be there too, for coaching and stuff too. So if you guys have never jigged before or gone deep, I'm more than happy to spend time with you guys and, show you how to do it. We've got a lot of great anglers on board, and just to get you bit, kind of spread the love. It's primarily a jigging trip, but there'll be light bait, everything. So whatever's biting, we'll throw. But I know a lot of these guys, we're going to try to prioritize hitting the jigs and stuff like that. And we're definitely going to do some rock fishing too. So we're going to hit some of these spots that haven't been open in years and years and do some of that deep dropping and try to pull up some monsters. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. Kind of some downtime in between all the pelagic fishing. But yeah, check that out. See you end of October. Come join us. I think it'll be awesome. Doug Rubin, El Sueño Us, welcome to the show. Time on the Water, what's up, dude? You guys check out their show. Charlie, Luke, Dialing Baits, they got a good show going on over there. So definitely give them a follow. A lot of local stuff for you California guys. I'm sure most of you guys watch this show, probably watch that as well. But yeah, definitely check it out. All right, guys, Instagram. I'm going to sign off here. If you want to join us, you'll find us on YouTube later. All right. Let's just get right into it. We got the I want to talk a little bit about the skunking. So it was funny when I kind of brought this up. So me and Kevin went fishing. I think it was this weekend. We might have even went Saturday. I don't really remember. It was Friday or Saturday. I think it was Saturday. And we wanted to try like this new zone. So we went out. Normally, we have our spots. There's places we can go where we always like catch fish and stuff like that. If we go offshore, we've got like some wrecks and some spots that always hold. But even if you're going inshore, Kevin knows a lot of good spots. And even there's like the intercoastal here on the East Coast where we always, go to fish. And we haven't been here that long, but we've got some pretty good areas, some established zones. But, I decided, hey, let's go try this new area. And we kind of we went south of where we normally do. And on the St. Johns River, instead of going north and out towards the mouth, we kind of went, or instead of going north, we went south into the river. And it's probably a little more freshwater. You guys don't know the St. Johns River in Jacksonville. It runs from one of the few rivers in the world that actually runs from south to north. So it starts south in the middle of the state of Florida, and then it runs north and outlets in the Atlantic up in the northeast of Florida. So we took the river and we went into downtown. So I wanted to kind of fish like downtown Jacksonville and see fish on all the docks, and there's just a bunch of stuff. There's lots of bridges and stuff over there. So we went to check it out. Man, and it was terrible. It was like one of the worst days of fishing we've had in a long time. And it's just crazy because we were just checking everything out. So then we left the downtown. We didn't find anything there. We went further south. I mean, we tried coves, bridges, we fished the peninsulas, drop-offs, docks, all that stuff. And it was a really rough time. You guys know, like, we're not the best fishermen in the world by any means. Kevin's pretty good. He's definitely probably a better fisherman than I am. But I think between the two of us, we get a pretty good grasp about where to go, where to catch. And normally we do pretty well. And so we were trying everything. We were trying all the right stuff. We were found deep holes. We fished those. We tried to find the edges, the banks of the deep holes. Like I said, we went to bridges. We went with the current, floated down, tried to hit the pylons behind them. We found shelves, buoys, like you name it. I mean, we fished for just hours and hours, and we came back north a little bit, fished this area where sometimes there's like some bull reds, but just could not get on them. And we skunked out pretty hard that day, and it was kind of demoralizing. I mean, we were like, we were hassling, we were roasting each other the whole time. Not like getting on each other, but we were like, "Hey man, I want to go fish downtown again." We're pretty salty. Oh, never again. We're never going to fish that again. And but it was pretty bad. It was just one of those days where you try everything you possibly can. I was throwing jigs, and then even we're switching up like every lure we can think of, and it was pretty bad. And it's just got me thinking for this one, because sometimes I talk to him and I'm like, "Hey man, you want to go fish downtown?" And we just joke around, and of course we don't want to now. But then we were getting to thinking, we're like, so anyways, we got off the water and we're telling ourselves, "Oh, we're never going to fish again. We're never going to fish. We're never going to fish that spot again. It sucked and this and that." We were kind of down about it, but then after a while, we came to the realization that it was a good experience, and it was still fun, but it got me thinking about today. And I was like, because I'm thinking, where should I fish this week? And you can't fish the same zone like every time, even though we skunked out and trying new areas and new places to fish. But if you don't ever check those zones, you're never going to know what's out there. You know what I mean? And ultimately, it's one of those situations where if you go out and look and you find, that what do they call it? Like that gold mine of fish, that secret honey hole where they're just popping off and you're blowing up. You're like a hero, and you found this new place. But if you don't ever look, you don't ever find it. And we were talking about that, on the way back. I was like, we checked it out, we looked at everything, and we're kind of putting our heads together, thinking, are there even fish here? We saw lots of people fishing, and we had some pretty good hypotheses about what was going on. I think what happened in our case was that the water was just too fresh. The water where we live here is brackish water, and when Hurricane Debbie came through here, it went north, but it still dumped like a tons of rain. I'm pretty sure it was still just like too wrecked. I don't know if the salinity was off or what, but I don't know if it was just too much fresh water and we were just in a bad spot. But yeah, it was pretty terrible, and it's kind of humbling, in a good way when you skunk out, because it just reminds you how hard fishing is, and how hard it can be sometimes when you can't control the species. Fish they're a fickle animal, and you got to hunt, and it's just not a given every time you go fishing. Sometimes we go out to our comfort zone spots, and usually you can always get something. Typically we go to places we know we can catch fish, but I think it's important to branch out. And back when I reflect on it, we're like, joking with ourselves, saying, "Oh, we're never going to fish there again," or anything. But I mean, we probably will. And we had to look, and we had to check it out and see what was out there. And it was definitely totally different fishing than we had seen before. But ultimately, it was good. But it was just a reminder, when people skunk, because I get some guys telling me like, they fish the jigs, and they've been trying, I'll get DMs and stuff where people say like, I just haven't had any luck. I don't know where to fish. And, I just tell them, I can give them some good advice. Like fish on pilings, and stuff like that, some usual places. But sometimes you just got to remember, when you skunk out, it's like there is when you're like hunting an animal, it's completely different. There's so many different variables. It's not just like the stationary thing that it's not like riding a bike, or it's not like competing in a basketball game where you can control how you shoot or even jujitsu, like when you're training, you can control those things. And if you make a mistake, it's kind of like either you did something wrong or somebody was better. But when it comes to fishing, you're dealing with an animal that you have no control over, that you're trying to get to eat a lure, and it's a real hunt. And either sometimes the fish have moved or they just don't want to eat. And even on top of that, there's tons of different variables involved. And I always try to tell people to not get discouraged, like on Instagram and stuff like that. Because more than anything, I want these guys to get bit, especially if they're using my jigs. It's like, do you want them to work? Do you want them to be successful? But it's hard to explain that sometimes to people, and it's just like nobody really wants to hear, look, man, sometimes the current's bad, sometimes the water temperature has changed, sometimes the fish have moved, sometimes they just don't want to eat, maybe the moon had changed, and there's just so many different factors that go into things that control fishing that are outside of our power sometimes. And it happens, and it happens to everybody. And that was really just my message to some of these guys out there that, skunking out more often than not. Once you get the experience, you'll get good at it, and you can usually find spots and find fish that'll bite pretty consistently. But no matter what, no matter who you are, if you're the best fisherman, at some point, you're definitely going to skunk out. You're gonna go out there, and it's for whatever reason, it's not going to be the conditions, or something's going to happen. There's going to be some weather event where they're just not there. Maybe a bunch of bait came through, and they're just not going to eat. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it was definitely a humbling experience. And then my wife was saying, because we got home, we were like, oh man, it was so crappy. It was like the worst day of fishing and stuff like that. And she's saying, well, yeah, if you don't always catch fish, you don't appreciate the good days. And she was right about that. Even though Kevin was like, gosh, what'd you say, Jessica? You're like, well, if you catch fish all the time, you're like, it wouldn't be as rewarding if you always caught fish. And she said, well, if you just catch fish all the time, it wouldn't be as exciting. And we kind of disagree. We're like, I don't know. We could probably catch fish 24/7, and we wouldn't be too hurt about that. But she definitely has a point about that. It's definitely more rewarding next time you go out, or when you are chasing that hunt. But yeah, I think that is what makes fishing special. Skunking is part of it, and that's what makes fishing unique. You have those days that you always remember, where you catch 50 fish a day, just one after the other. You throw them in the boat. There's other days where you catch one or two, and it's a grind. And some days you don't catch anything at all. It's almost the majesty of fishing. It's like that. It's like a gambling aspect to it. Going out there and just seeing what's going to happen. But you always have that hope. That's almost the allure of fishing, is that the hope that you're going to catch that fish. Either you're going to catch a lot of fish, or you're going to catch that one fish. You're going to catch that giant, and you just never know. You don't know what's going to be on the end of the reel. You don't know when you're going to get maybe a world record fish or your personal best fish, and you just got to go out there and keep casting, man. And I think that's what makes fishing so good, even in the days, when you're skunking out. You just keep coming back, keep hoping for those glory days. But I just wanted to give some words of encouragement to you guys. Some of you guys that are skunking out, man. It happens to everybody, especially on Instagram when you see people posting fish all the time. The thing you don't see is the people not catching fish. Obviously on days when people don't catch, like nobody posted, there's nothing to catch. So you see people catching fish all the time. Well, these are people that probably fish a lot. And on the days they don't catch anything, there's nothing to get shown. So nobody's going to go out there and show a picture of their empty hand and say, well, I didn't catch anything. No, anytime you see anything on social media, it's somebody holding a fish, right? Biting a fish, landing a fish. It's all the highlights, So we sensationalize things sometimes on Instagram. We're just like, people catch fish all the time, but it doesn't matter who you are. Eventually, you're just going to run into one of those days Even the best guys, it always happens. And it just happened to us. And it had been a long time since I think I had skunked out on a boat at least. Shore fishing, surfing, man, that's 50-50. That's almost guaranteed skunk right there. That's no joke. But on the boat or kayak, like it's been a long time since we've skunked out that bad. Especially with how hard we looked and everywhere like we went. And it was pretty brutal for sure. What's going on, Doug Rubin? Oos. I don't know if I got you. If you guys like the show, hit that like button. Bump us up in the algorithm. Give us a love. Sorry, guys, just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, I'm curious about you guys. When was the last time you went out there and skunk? The only thing about like skunking is my biggest fear about like skunking is getting other people skunked, like when it's their first time fishing. I think that's probably like the biggest detriment to fishing. When you take somebody out new and they've never fished before, it's always like you hope they catch fish. Most people that you ever talk to somebody that like, oh yeah, I go fishing, and you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I don't like fishing, or I went, it was boring. It's almost guaranteed they went out there and didn't catch any fish, and it's really hard not to blame them too, especially if they went out on like one of these day boats or an overnight or something. You spend 16 hours at sea or a day or sometimes longer, you don't catch anything, or you take somebody out, offshore, even on your little boat or even in the bay, and it's been like a really bad day. They didn't catch anything. That's really tough, man. It's like whenever I take somebody new out or go with them, it's like I always just hope they catch fish, because usually if they catch fish, even just one, and they get that thrill of the bite and everything like that, they're usually willing to go back again. But it's hard to convince somebody that skunks out the first time to go out there and keep fishing. I wonder what percentage that is. Like how many people have gone out, didn't have success, and then probably just never returned. It is like the people that went out, probably caught fish, became anglers for life. But like even if you caught one and you go back the second time and you skunk out, you still remember what it was like to catch that one fish like this. So it can happen, And sometimes it seems like it takes a whole bunch of trips. I remember I went like first time I started going bluefin fishing years ago, and I can't tell you how many dead trips I had. I can't tell you how many times I went fishing for bluefin before I caught a bluefin. And it was just like, it just seemed like so many trips where it almost seemed hopeless, But luckily I had been a fisherman before and I'd caught so many other species. Like, what happens. But then eventually you get one and you finally pull one out. And it's like you get that thrill, and then it just re-energizes you. And even when you have those tough days, it's like, the bite's going to happen, and it can happen at any point. And now you go out there and you catch them all the time. But man, I remember there was a time, it was probably, I don't know, I went on like 3 or 4 trips, just nothing. Could not find them, couldn't get them to bite. It was just always choosing the wrong times. But yeah, man, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but anytime you go out with somebody new, I'm like, man, please just let them catch a fish. I don't want to hear this whining the whole time we're there. They don't catch anything. Tragedy. Dave Ray says last trip, got a coworker to hook to, a hand yellowtail. Got a coworker. It's hard to explain to somebody about skunking, right? Like when they've never gone before, and you're trying to explain, like, well, you might not catch anything, and then you always pull out like all the old platitudes and stuff. Well, that's why they call it fishing and not catching. You just start coming up with all these old adages, trying to like make people feel better, but it's really hard to convince people to keep going fishing when they haven't caught. So it's really like, and it's like gambling, but they haven't won the money yet. They just have no clue. I can definitely see where people get frustrated and just kind of hang it up. And like, I'm not going anymore. I tried it once and it was weak. Sammy Prom, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the show. How you been, Sammy? You've been hitting the boats, it seems like, been offshore lately. Putting the spotties on the back burner. It's okay, man. man cannot live on spotties alone. Sometimes you got to go offshore and catch some bigger fish. Let's see here. Finally got back on the yak this weekend. How'd you like it? Were you missing it? Or were you like relieved to be off of it? Sometimes I find it harder to like once you got a boat and everything. Although speaking about just to finish up the whole skunking thing, yeah, I just want to let people know there's so many factors you can't control, but then also my main point that I want to make is like sometimes if you skunk, it's okay if you're looking for new grounds, and I think sometimes we don't take enough risks and we don't look for things, and that's ultimately what we ended up doing. And we kind of lost when we got back. We kind of lost the vision of what we did. We went to try a new zone. We were excited to go try a new thing. And we went out to all starry-eyed. By the time we got back, we didn't really catch anything. We were really down on the idea of where we went. But ultimately, if you're not trying new areas and new zones, I think that gets boring in and of itself. So, that's part of the adventure of finding them. If we would have been hooked up, it would have been good. We would have had a blast, and we would have all been heroes, right? And found our new honey hole, but it just didn't pan out like that. So I think it's acceptable, when you're going out there trying out new zones. It's not the same. You're going out there hunting, being unfamiliar, but ultimately that's what you got to do. Same thing with the guys that hit me up on Instagram. You just got to fish, man. You got to try places. You got to look for them, especially in the fishing world. Nobody's really going to give you too much advice. A lot of guys here, I think, will, but it's hard to. Fishermen typically aren't going to give up their spots about where they are. They might point you in the right direction, but the other thing you can do is just cast, man. Cast away, keep looking, and just try to get on them. They're out there. You can find them, and you just got to grind. So I mean, yeah, in the end, even though we skunked out hard and it was like a bad day fishing, it was basically us. We went out of our comfort zone and we're looking in places we would have never looked before, and so ultimately, it was a good thing. Secondly, all the guys out there is just like I was saying before, you can't control fish. Like it is what it is. They're an animal. You're hunting them, and there's so many different variables. You guys know this as well. You've gone back to that spot where you've caught fish 100 times, and they're just not there one day. And a lot of times they are there, but they just don't want to eat. So many things have changed. Even just a little bit of change in water temperature, or tide swings or stuff like that can affect everything as well. So, you go back one day and they might be there. You go back again, and it's a feeding frenzy. So don't get discouraged. Just keep working at it. It happens to everyone. And there's a ton of different factors about, why it happens. But just don't get discouraged. Keep casting. And just keep throwing it, and it'll be okay. David Guzzi, what's going on, man? Reese went out recently on a 1.5-day trip on the Oceanside 95 at a Seaforth SD, about 100+ pound bluefin for 45 minutes, a 65-pound braid, a 50-pound top shot. That kind of tried to help. Fish snaps him off. Man, that's harsh, dude. Like, what's the saying? It's better to love than lost and never loved at all? Is it better to have hooked and lost the fish than to never hooked it at all? That's a tough question. At least you hooked one, man. That is rough, though. Yeah, we've all been there. Bluefin are no joke, man. It's anybody that's caught one of those things. But even still, you were a 50-pound top shot, 100+ pound fish. You're already kind of undergunned, so I mean, you gave it your best shot, man. But yeah, that's harsh. And sometimes you don't have an option about how you fight them. You got to get them in. You can't just. You got to use the gear that you have, and you got to just put it on them. Sometimes you can turn them. You're gonna let your drag loose on 50 pounds, stuff like that. You'll never get a 100-pound rib. It's just gonna run forever. I've seen people. I've literally been on boats and watched people fight fish for like 4 hours, and they just can't get them in because the gear is undertuned. So it's better just to crank it up and hammer it. See if you can get it in, man. That's rough though. I feel you. You get them next time. I can't get the ball. I think say no worries. We'll get him next time. That was so done. How long did you fight it for? Was it a long fight? Man, yeah. If you guys have never fought a bluefin, it's like it's no joke, man. Especially when you once you're like 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, I've seen people fight fish for hours, and it's like it's a lot of work, especially with big boys. They just don't stop, they full drag, and it's a workout. You're gonna be beat after one fish. Tammy said, I'd rather have at least have had a chance to fight than not at all. Have a bigger setup. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't know. That's what I'm saying. You don't know like what you're gonna hook up. Sometimes it's easier to get hooked up on the light gear, you know what I mean? But then you gotta worry about the fight afterwards. Especially if you're in like a bunch of schools, you know what I'm saying, where it's like you're just fishing little football fish or 40 pounders and stuff like that. There's always some giant lurking in there and it's gonna eat you. Yeah, 45 minutes. That's a long fight, dude. 45 minutes is long. Just think about that. Straight up fighting a fish for 45 minutes. Yeah, man, that's no joke. It was jackpot. That's funny. Were you guys fighting just like regular size fish? Like 40, or is it like 40, 100 or 40 to 50 pounders, and you said that big one come through? That's crazy. Oh, Sam, you're talking about finally got back on the yak. Back to the spotty love. So you got to spend time in the water, practice. Yeah. Kiwi Rex, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned this, but I actually got a new. I bought a new kayak. I sold my PA, so I had the PA 14, the Hobie. Ended up selling it, and I ended up getting the Hobie Lynx. I don't know if you guys have seen that thing. It's like the paddleboard. It's like a paddleboard kayak. So took that out a couple weeks ago for the first time. I had it for a while and it's just kind of been sitting there. Got an opportunity to take it out, but yeah, totally different game. I had the PA14. It's really great for like the West Coast, but I don't think it's a very good like East Coast boat. Only because you don't go like offshore that much in the water. Then when you're inshore, it's like really, really skinny, really shallow water. Because I ended up buying so I had the PA14 and I took it out back a few times, fishing like deep in the river. But then I ended up buying like a skiff. I bought a Carolina skiff, like a 15-foot boat, like a flats boat. And honestly, having the boat and then the big 14-foot PA14 was kind of like the same thing. It was redundant because I could get that boat pretty much anywhere. I had a 14-foot kayak and then a 15-foot skiff, flats boat. But the skiff, this thing drops in like literally like 4 inches of water. It could get anywhere the kayak could get, the skiff could probably get to. So it was like I kind of had the kayak that really wasn't used because even when I was getting in the skinny water, the boat worked just as well to get in deep. So to even get in skinnier and thinner within like 6 inches of water and less, we were using Kevin's like Hobie compasses, a lot smaller, like lighter kayaks that would actually draft in a lot more shallow water. The PA was like, it was too big and it really didn't do anything out here. I used to use it in La Jolla or deep, like when you're deep in the Pacific, you guys know, we fish in the bays and stuff like that. Sometimes we're like 20, 30 feet deep, especially parts of Mission Bay. Even a couple feet, even if you're like 2 feet deep, that's perfect. But I mean, you get out here and you're fishing redfish and stuff, literally in like inches of water. It just wasn't necessary since I had the skiff. So I bought the Lynx. I don't know if you guys have seen that thing, but it's like it's basically like a paddleboard. It's made by Hobie. The same thing. It's like it's got the drive, but you sit on top, and it's like a flat bottom. It doesn't really have like a bead hull or anything. It's very flat, and it's really fast. So I just wanted something that I can get to that was like super nimble. It's 45 pounds. It's not roto molded. It's like just a foam filled kind of paddleboard, but like I said, it's like 45, 50 pounds. You can rig this thing up quick, go light. and it's been pretty awesome. Super fast on the water, it skims through. But more importantly, you can get in just like 2 inches of water, and then you can get out the push pole too, and just really get there, back deep, way deeper than you can get in the PA 14. So yeah, sold the 14, got the links, and it's been great. The one cool thing about it too is it forces you to you got to really fish light because there's no there's no storage on the links at all. There's no storage, nothing on the back. You can still hook up like your H crate, so put the H crate on the back, hook it up with the bungees and stuff. But I mean, really, that's it. There's no sides to it, that come up. Like you can't hang anything on the sides. There's no compartment in the front, so you really have to go light. 2 rods, kind of maximum. And it's been pretty cool though, just being able to having to go minimalist and really focus on what you're going after. The links really forces you to like really narrow it down, just because it's got so little space. It's like minimalist. But on the flip side, like the speed and the maneuverability of it is absolutely crazy. Like that thing hauls so much ass, it just like skims on the. It's just so light, and you still got the drive on it. Once you start pedaling, and you turn, it just I think like turns on a dime. It's pretty wild. I think it'd be a great day fishing thing. I definitely would not take it out to La Jolla. I wouldn't take it out of like the mouth. Would not take it on the pickle run or anything like that. Like in the Pacific. But if you guys were just fishing bays or even lakes and stuff like that, Lynx is legit, for sure. So really been liking it. Here in Texas, I see a lot of the old towns with Minn Kota, the 12-foot, yeah. Thanks to the downfall of the Lynx, it doesn't like when he's built. Yeah, 100%. Like you're not going to go out. The only time I take it out is like I said, backwater and stuff like that. It's still, it's definitely not like a big open water boat for sure. You're not going to want to be going over rollers and stuff like that. It definitely has its place where it's definitely like a bay kayak, and you got to use it where it's sheltered and stuff like that. I wouldn't take it offshore. But then again, it was like that's what I got the little boat for, And then I got the big boat if I want to go offshore and stuff like that. My buddy hates swell. Swells don't bother me. I mean, nothing on the water really bothers me that much, but yeah, I don't know if I'd like it on the Lynx. I think probably wouldn't be too stable. I've seen videos where like the water just goes over the nose. It seems to just slide off. I think it does okay, but yeah, there's no V in the front. It can't cut through anything. It's just if you hit waves and swells, it just is gonna like slap the nose. It's gonna be a pretty rough ride. Yeah, out here in Florida too. When you're saying like the old towns with the Minn Kota, a lot of people run the like trolling motors out here too are a pretty big thing. I'm seeing them more in like Southern California, but it's the same deal where you got to get them registered and stuff like that, even with the electric motor. But that seems to be pretty popular, rigging them up like fully electric. And the old towns are cool. The one I've never like fished on an old town, but the one thing I like about the old town is the like the instant reverse. How you just pedal, and it's got the propeller in it, and then you can and it's got like bicycle pedals, and you can stop and just start pedaling backwards, and it'll go backwards. Where in the Hobie, just the downside is you got to reach down, you got to pull the cable, and then paddle. It like flips them, and then it go forward again. You got to reach down, pull the cable again, flips the fins around. But the advantage of that is you can put the fins flat. The downside I know of the old town is you got to take that whole cartridge out. You can't with the Hobie, you put your feet in, and the fins go up to the side of the boat, and you can go over kelp, rocks, and all kinds of stuff, and you're not in trouble. I know I've got out offshore with some of the buddies out in like Point Loma when we were in kelp, and they had their old towns, and they were kind of having some problems because they had to keep lifting like the cartridge out of the water, because they couldn't you can't skim over the kelp with it. So when I go to kelp, I just put my pedals in, and they go up, and you can just slide over them, and they don't get caught. I know the old time you're kind of like same thing when you're getting near something shallow and it kind of hits that thing. It's not as good. But instant reverse, that is pretty sweet. As long as you know where you're fishing, you don't hit any oyster mounds or logs or anything like that. Yeah. Fins. Sammy says the fins won't pick up grass. Yeah, that was a thing too. A lot of guys had to pull them out, but it seemed like they pulled out pretty easy. I mean, but for the price, it's not really a bad deal. The Old Towns are pretty reasonable compared to the Hobies. And the Hobies is so expensive. I think that's why a lot of people get the Old Town. So I think that's great though. For the money, get people out on the water, like totally worth it. Those seem to be the two big players, and then there's like some other kayak company that just came out. I don't really remember the name of it. Totally forgot. Next kayak or something like that. It'd be good. Could get some more competitors in there. Let's see. Check my notes here. Yeah, I think that's really all I got, guys. Not too much going on. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, we'll wrap it up. We've got some exciting new stuff coming up, guys. We've got some like new jigs coming down the pipeline. We've got hooks. So we do got a full set of hooks going on to sell. I know a lot of people have been asking about those. So we've got them all from 15 gram, and you can't even see these, up to the big ones. We've got like 6 different sizes. So I know this has been kind of like a big request. People asking if we've got replacement hooks and stuff. So we're going to have these on the website pretty soon. But the hooks are in. We just got to put them in. So you can get those for, I know some people were excited for the changing like bigger hooks on smaller jigs and stuff like that when they want to use micro jigs for like, they want to use a smaller jig for bigger fish, but they wanted to upgrade some of the hooks. Well, now you can get some of the bigger hooks and stuff like that. So we got the hooks coming down. Got some newer jigs coming in. We got some prototypes in the work and stuff like that. So it's good things coming up. And I really appreciate you guys, all the support. That's been awesome. All the tackle stores, making new orders, everything. And then you guys buying them there. I really appreciate that. Really helps us out. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Remember, Submission at Sea. Go sign up. Submissionfishing.com. Come fish with us. I think it'll be a great trip. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Until then, go get bit. Goose.